change the things around you. Oh, what you gonna love inside of you? Oh, when you gonna hear his revelation? Oh, oh, let it move inside of you. Life ain't no.
Oh, wonderful. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Infinite Perspectives, where voices become vision. I'm Michelle Diamond, author of the Becoming Trilogy, brand architect, board level leader, and co founder of Infinite Perspectives brand. And I am truly honored to hold this space alongside my co host, co founder, and sister in vision, the wonderful Linda Boston. Linda?
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate being part of this with you. Yes, I am Linda Boston, and we're grateful to share this space with you this evening as we continue conversations rooted in reflection, growth, and expanded awareness.
Yes, absolutely. And we wanted to ensure, please excuse some of the feed. I'm not sure what's going on there, but wanted to let you guys know, of course, we have to give our shout outs to our amazing sponsors. Infinite Perspectives is proudly brought to you by Peer Incorporated, Next Level Promotion, a division of Infinite Perspectives brand, Moniker Enterprises, Carlotta Cole, the brand, and Unlimited Networks Property Management. Tonight's conversation may sound simple, reading, but what we are really exploring is access, identity, and who gets to believe in themselves early and
Mhm,
who has to learn it later.
mhm. Yeah, let's sit with that for a minute. That's powerful because
It
when a
is.
child is supported, they don't just learn to read, they learn that they matter. I have a grandson that struggles with a little bit of reading. My daughter struggled. And so this is essential that children matter, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And because they matter, we are proud to welcome tonight's guest, Tracy Bailey, founder of Freedom Readers and director of educational outreach and teacher placement within the Educational Studies Department at Davidson College. Her work bridges both institution and community, creating pathways for young people to not only learn, but to be seen, supported, and positioned to thrive.
Everyone needs to know that what stands out in Tracy's work is that it doesn't stop at access. It extends into impact, transformation. Because when
Yes.
systems and community align, lives shift, right?
Yes. And it is an honor to say, Tracy, welcome to Infinite Perspectives. It is an absolute honor to have you with us this evening.
Yes.
Michelle, Linda, thank you for that wonderful and very warm introduction. I really appreciate it, and I am honored to be here with you this evening. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Oh, you are most welcome. The honor is absolutely ours. Now, we discussed this, Linda and I, on so many different levels about seeing differently. And
Mm.
of course, that's the name of the show, Infinite Perspectives, right? So, Tracy, before Freedom Readers became what it is today, there was a moment where you chose to see children differently.
Mhm.
What did you see that others may have overlooked?
Mm, wonderful opening question. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is a very powerful question, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you for asking that. Um,
Gratitude.
I have spent many, many years working with children, and I think that I've come to be able to see children through a scriptural and biblical lens.
Mm.
Because in my upbringing, in my rearing, in the Gullah Geechee community,
Come on now.
we understand that a child is the greatest resource that you could have in your community. I've heard stories about African villages where children don't put their feet on the ground until they're 2 years old because they're carried everywhere as if they are carrying the divinity. And when you think about children, they are the closest to God that we have on our planet. So children have to be respected, children have to be cherished, they have to be valued. And I know that sometimes in our busy world, we get caught up in our own goals as adults, and we get caught up in shaping our children into the image of what we think they need to be. But I think I've come to learn that our job is to make sure that children feel safe enough to step into their destinies. So we all have the divine within us, but children have it in extra measure. I think there's a scripture that says that if you touch or harm one of these, it'll be like putting a millstone around your neck and you'll be dropped into the ocean or something like that.
Yeah.
Our creator values children. And so I think it's our responsibility to do the same.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I love that. Before we move on, we have comments coming in right away, and I would like to give highlight to that. Mr. Charles Lewis stated, books saved my life in prison, everything from law books to Angela Davis. And he also followed up to say, I would love to read her book because I'm already inspired by her. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
that is a beautiful comment. And I'll say to Charles, thank you for those very kind words. And if you pick up my book, you'll read about some of the books that I consider to be mentors to me because they really shape the way that I think about the world and just really open my mind to infinite possibilities, like the title of your show.
Yeah.
Books can build bridges, they can calm us, they can excite us, they give us the opportunity, they're a gateway. They give us the opportunity to travel to places that we'll never get to see. But what I love about books is that they can speak directly to your spirit and your heart. So it was when I read Frederick Douglass's autobiography that things started to open up and change for me, because he wrote about how even as an enslaved person, once he learned how to read, then he knew at that moment that he was free. There's a quote from Frederick Douglass that says, education unfits a man to be a slave. Education unfits a man to be a slave. And he also says that it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And so his words, although he lived so long ago, it's just amazing to me how it feels as if he speaks directly into our current moment and what we're facing. It's sad on the one side that we haven't made as much progress as we probably should have as human beings, but it's so powerful that somebody's inspiration and their spirit and their brilliance can be frozen and captured in a book and then unlocked generations later.
Wow. I love that. Thank you. You know, you said a mouthful there, and it just came to me. and to say it, and not using the platform as another promotion. However, Linda and I have both been diligently working on some things behind the scenes. And of course, Linda's
Mm.
also an author. I'm an author. And everything, again, we talked before coming on about alignment. And what you just said is so powerful. And to reiterate about, what Mr. Douglas stated, it's mind blowing because it referenced what Linda and I talked about in becoming, even understanding who you were from childhood, just remembering that we were purposed with something from the very
Mhm.
beginning. So,
Mhm.
there's so much power in everything that you stated, Linda.
Yeah, it also speaks to, if the Charles Lewis that made the comment is the Charles Lewis that I think it is, he
Mm.
is a mentee of mine. He has written
Wow.
his story, okay? He is
Mm,
publishing his book. I
that's
think
Mm.
amazing.
that we as individuals need to write it down and make it plain.
For
We need
sure.
Yes.
to put that pen to paper, because the pen is the eye of the spirit. It's your
Mm,
Mhm.
conversation with the creator and the universe as you are here in this realm.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
we should do that anytime we get an inkling to do it. Once we start writing and telling the story, the floodgates open up of creativity for
Mm,
you. It's
Mhm.
magnificent. And we got to continue to do that, because things like critical race theory get in the way, and all of these things trying to monitor what you have access to. We can't
mm.
have that. And so I ask you this: was there a moment where this stopped being an idea for you and became something you felt responsible for?
Wow.
Mm.
And
Mm.
Good
that's
question,
my
Linda.
yes now.
Yeah, that's another powerful question. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Freedom Readers was born about 2010. That's when we became an official nonprofit organization. But around 2008, that was the year that my community was getting extremely excited about voting for a Black candidate for president. And I remember going to the polls. It was at the high school in my community, and the line was around the building. And I saw elderly people, I saw just people excited and looking like they were ready to stand out there all day, a
Yeah.
week, a month if they had to, so that they could cast this very important transformational vote. And so
Right.
you could feel the energy in the air. It was almost electric just to listen to my own parents talk about the journey that they took in their lifetime. My father was born in 1935. My mom was born in
Mm,
1940. So imagine all the things that they had seen to get there to that moment. And so I thought about the fact that this electricity and this energy needs to somehow be sustained in my community after this campaign goes on to LA, Washington, D.C., New York City. I was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We are a small, small place. But I knew that these people wanted an outlet for that excitement, even after the campaign was over and they had moved along. And so
mm,
Freedom Readers kind of became born out of that energy, out of that spirit. And we immediately formed partnerships with churches in our community. And so
mm,
sometimes there would be the missionary board that would adopt the entire Freedom Readers organization, and there would be retired teachers and people who understood the importance of education. And so it wasn't just about a way to pass the time for them. It was about purpose and responsibility. And it was about making sure that those young people understood that they were standing on the shoulders of giants
Yes.
and that they came from royalty and that there was
mm.
nothing that they couldn't achieve. So it's a one-to-one reading organization. The partnerships and the relationships that get formed feel like these children gain another member of their families. because these tutors are looking all week long for the right book or the right writing utensil or the right papers or just that thing that is going to spark the fire for that child that they're working with. So it's one-to-one.
Yes.
They're there to listen to that child talk about anything that's on their mind, but they're also there to read to that child and listen to the child read as well. The same way that my parents taught me how to read when I was growing up. The same way my mom encouraged me when I had to learn my Easter speech and say it in front of the church, right?
Yeah.
That same encouragement, that same, I know you can do this. I'm in this with you, and you don't even have to worry about any mistakes because I have your back. So I think from the first moment that these people stepped forward to work with these children, I realized that the vision was bigger than me and that was going to be my responsibility to shepherd it along until it could sustain itself. So that's a long answer to your question.
No, and very beautiful, wonderful answer. And I believe you answered some of what I was going to pose next, because you talked about it, seeing that, they can stand on the shoulders of these giants, reading as identity, right? And we all say, and it's something that floats around. So I think commonly, and people don't truly connect to it, where we often, use the phrase reading is fundamental. But we rarely talk about what it actually shapes. So from your perspective, what does reading give a child beyond literacy? And you touched on some of it.
Yeah.
Oh, Michelle, I know that this podcast is limited, so I'll try to keep my answer as brief as I can.
No. We love it. Remember, we said we like authenticity. So come on.
We don't stop until we finish talking. So keep on.
Okay. So lately I've been thinking a lot about what Linda touched on earlier, and how there's a movement right now to take our stories out of the classroom, to deprive our children of learning about their particular history. So Michelle, like you said earlier, reading is fundamental, but there is a special heritage when it comes to children of color and reading. Because we can go back in the history of this nation and we can find a time when it was a crime for a person who looked like any one of us to be caught with a book. And the punishment could be 50 lashes or death. And the reason that is the case is because many people understood that once we got the books in our hands, once we started to think critically about our situations, once we started understanding that there was life beyond our original circumstance, then they would never be able to hold us.
Yes.
And so this is happening again. We're seeing history try to repeat itself. There are laws that are being passed. You talked about critical race theory, all of this negativity floating around in the air. So what reading does is help our young people understand that even though we lived through a time like that, it never stopped us from pursuing literacy and education. Although that punishment was way up here, people still snuck around with their books and taught one another how to read, even in the middle of enslavement. So reading gives you the confidence to know that you can stand flat-footed in any situation, face any barrier and any obstacle, and that you have just as much right to a seat at the table as anybody else.
Yes,
absolutely. And
so when people come to you and start trying to, start trying to tell you otherwise, you'll know better for sure.
Exactly. And you mentioned that, and what came to my mind, I'm sorry that I cut you there.
It's okay.
It wasn't only relevant back then, it's relevant now. And that's why we said, no, come on, bring it, don't stop. Because or viewers and whoever else has the opportunity to see this need to understand and fully comprehend that it is fundamental right now because of what's
Mm-hmm.
going on around us. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're
Mm-hmm.
closing so many schools right here in DeKalb, in
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta. There's so many
Mm-hmm.
schools that are closing, and I've read even in other states they're closing down some schools, and they're forcing certain things on our children. And
Mm-hmm.
why it's important for us to even have the basics, the fundamentals to say, hey, if push comes to shove, which I prefer personally, I
Mm-hmm.
can homeschool my child because I have the basics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right, right. And really, you know, you're saying that reading is it's not about words, it's about becoming identity and confidence and
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
You know, the things that are happening with all these schools closing, it reminds me of the ebb of a dystopia.
Mm.
exactly.
If you want to take books away and close schools and places of learning and question what can be found in your library, that sounds like something out of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And what we also have to understand is reading itself, it just doesn't teach our children how
Mhm.
to understand the world. It teaches them that they belong in it.
Come on.
Yes, exactly
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
Exactly right. They belong at the table, any table that can be built. That's where they belong. And
Of
so
course.
we have a component in our program that's about public speaking as well. And so
Wow.
we have it's a 90-minute program that starts with, we have a theme song that we all sing together, and we look at the
Ooh.
words on the screen, just like I did when I was growing up in church. I
Mhm.
read words in the hymnal that I did not know how to pronounce before I saw them in the hymnal.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I heard the choir singing that song, and I was picking up on my vocabulary at that time.
Hmm.
We have some video clips that we might watch that might inspire the young people. They read together with their tutor, and then that last 15 to 20 minutes, they will give a speech. We give them an outline, and they fill that out, and they stand up in front of the room, and they give their speech every week. I have to tell you the story about the young man that was so shy that for 5 weeks he turned his back to the room and gave his speech to the wall. And
Come
then
on.
that last week before our session was over, he turned around and spoke to the audience, and there was
Wow.
not a dry eye in the room.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
can believe that. Oh my
That's
goodness.
accommodating. Very accommodating for someone who is struggling with presentation speech. Yeah.
Of
Mm-hmm.
course. I love that. And again, you touched on it. You know, we know that there are unseen gaps that are out there and present themselves. And we know we have children who are capable, but never
Mm-hmm.
placed in the environments that reflect that back to them.
Mm.
Tell us, Tracy, what happens to a child when their brilliance is not recognized early?
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Come on. Teach us.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful question. You know, Langston Hughes asked a
Ooh,
question like that as
my
well.
guy.
He asked, "What happens to a dream deferred?" You know? And so I think that it's never a lost cause. It's never a case where a person can't wake up to the truth of who they are.
Yes.
But when you can discover that truth early, when you see the people around you speaking life into you constantly, when you know that you're in a safe place, that you're being held, that you're being celebrated, that you know,
Mm,
even if you can make a mistake, it's okay to make a mistake. We
Yes.
talk a lot about Black excellence, But we
Mm.
also have to talk about the fact that we're all human beings. And if you make a mistake, then we will put our arms around you and bring you back into community.
Whew.
We will bring you back into balance because we
Yes,
know that at the center, the core of who you are is divinity.
Mm.
And we will
absolutely.
remind you of that. So to have the opportunity to speak with a 5, 6, 7 year old, I mean, the way they come to me with their eyes bright and shining, and they've never really had, anybody beating them down or telling them that there are things that they can't do. I want to be president of the United States. That's what they tell me. And
I
you
know
can,
that.
darling. You can.
Yeah.
We understand the systems in our country. We understand that that every legislator doesn't get it. We understand that not every teacher gets it in the classroom. But we also understand that as a community, we not only have the power, we have the
Mm.
resources and the responsibility to pour into our children. And that's what Freedom Rivers has
Absolutely.
always been about. They are ours. We take care of them. They are
I
Right.
love
ours.
that. I love that. And you shared one special moment with us about the young man where he, for weeks, had his back turned and he turned around and he delivered. And again, he was embraced
Mm,
by pride, support, and the love unconditionally because you said there was not one dry eye in the building. So
right.
kudos to you guys on that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much. I
welcome.
mean, it is not something that we can manufacture. This is not something that
No.
we could tell people that they need to do. It is just, it pours out of their hearts. They see these little faces and understand the potential in those little bodies. And immediately
Mm.
it's just like an automatic response. They can't stop themselves from, trying to help that child take the next step forward in their journey toward their own personal greatness. And that's
As
a
it
joy to
should
be able to
be.
see.
Yeah.
As it should be. And
Yeah.
Charles said, this is a much needed, powerful conversation. I'm inspired, I'm educated, and I'm motivated. Thank you,
Mm.
Oh, thank you,
Charles. Oh,
Charles.
Yeah.
you're
Yes,
such
thank
a
you.
That's
sweetheart.
wonderful. It's interesting. You shared with us about a wonderful life-changing moment for that young man.
Hmm.
And I know you've witnessed when a child is finally seen and supported and believed in. Can you share
Hmm.
another one that is inspiring and can help to seal our inspiration on your journey that we embrace with you?
I have many, many stories of young people that have they've really touched my heart. I can tell you about one young man. We had a site at public housing development not far from where our home office is. And that development is also near a college. And so many of the college students come out to volunteer as a part of some of their classes or to get a little bit of extra credit. And so there was a relationship that was built between one student, I believe he was about 6 years old at the time, and his tutor
Mhm.
came to read with him, I think, for 6 months every week. He had to go away for a while for a break, but when that break was over, I was sitting there reading with the 6 year old, and the college student walked in the door after break was over, and he all of a sudden caught sight of that young man out of the corner of his eye, jumped up out of the chair and ran to the door and gave him the biggest hug he could imagine. And just to see
Aw.
that embrace let me
Yes.
know that he was so grateful that someone had taken the time to be with him on a regular basis, and it wasn't something that they needed or had to do. That's how he could say in 6 year old language, "Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for acting as if I matter to you.
Mm.
Thank you for making space and room in your life and in your heart for me."
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Magnificent. Life changing moments.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about changing the trajectory of someone's life forever.
Yes.
It'll never be the
Yes.
same because of that day.
Yes.
And you know, when we think about how many of us are still becoming, what we needed was someone to see in us earlier. So what would you say is something that people need to pay attention? I wouldn't even be short in saying, what should an educator, because educators are barraged with responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Parents see early. What should teachers, siblings see early
Mm-hmm.
to move our children forward?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that question, Linda. It really struck me when you said just now that we are all becoming, because all of us on this call, all of us on this planet are still on the journey toward our destiny. Somebody said that actually all we are doing is walking one another home. We're walking
Mm,
each other home. That's what we're doing.
I
And
love that.
so the thing that's powerful to me about the work that I've been able to do with Freedom Readers is that it's not just the young people who are walking away with something beautiful. You're all right, Michelle. You're okay. It's not just the young people that are changed, really. It's the tutors who come to me and tell me, this child spoke something to me that I didn't know I needed to hear.
Come on.
mm,
It's the adults who are saying to me, this is the highlight of my week. I put my phone away, I put the
Yes.
TV away, and I get to focus on this beautiful child.
Come
mm.
on.
Their innocence, their energy, the way that they see the world, it transforms in both directions. It's a two-way street. So I think that if our parents and our educators and our siblings are just able to unplug from some of the things that distract us,
Mm.
then I think
Mhm.
that we
Come
will
on.
be able to see in the child and in ourselves exactly how we are connecting and what we need to say and do to help one another move forward. Those kids teach me
Mm.
lessons all the time. But what I had to understand is this isn't about logistics. This isn't
No.
about making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. It's about being present in this moment with this precious,
Mm.
precious child who is
Yes.
clamoring for my attention. That's all they want. That's
Just
all
the
they want is for
attention.
me to slow down, calm down, and listen and
Mm.
be in the room. And I think that's
Mm.
such a valuable lesson. It sounds simple. Michelle said it at the very beginning of our conversation. This all sounds very simple, but it's some of the hardest work we can ever do in our lives. To
Thank
be
you.
able to genuinely and
Full circle.
authentically appreciate
Yes.
the people that God puts in our path, especially the youngsters.
You are so right. And I am so grateful for you expounding on that. And when you talk about showing up and paying attention, it truly takes a village. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where it comes into community responsibility in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, freedom readers, from my research and what Linda and I discussed, it's
Mm-hmm.
not just a program,
Mhm.
it's a community response.
Mm.
What shifts when a community chooses to invest in its children differently?
Mm.
And I'm going to reiterate that and pose it to you as a question.
Mm-hmm.
What shifts when Freedom Readers was established, not just as a program, but as a community response?
Mhm.
Mm.
What did that community choose to invest in those children differently?
Michelle, I've been following the news closely, and I've been concerned and alarmed, especially by some of the news that I'm hearing about. I think it's being framed as blue cities are having
Come on now.
ICE
Come on. Woo.
and the National Guard and the military coming out to these cities because there's so much crime. And I'm also listening to the real statistics coming out of cities like Chicago and Baltimore, where they're saying that they're able to decrease the homicide and crime rate substantially. And so I'm listening to these mayors talk about the steps that they are taking forward that are not being recognized on a large scale by the federal government, but it is happening nonetheless. How are they getting this to happen? Well, what they have said time and time again is that they have made investments in programs like Freedom Readers that give children the opportunity to do something not only productive with their time, but that will help them see themselves and their communities differently. So the shift is about not feeling helpless, not feeling hopeless, but embracing what it is that we can do to uplift our children and our communities. You know, I saw a quote the other day that said, you can sit in front of your TV and you can watch all of the negative news, but the major one thing that you can do, instead of sitting there and feeling hopeless, you can help a child. You can find a child and help that child. It completely shifts the way that you interact with your community and yourself, your mindset, because then you are reminded that you do have agency, you have power as an individual. Every single movement that we see throughout history, the civil rights movement, anywhere that people have been able to achieve things, it starts with one person just being committed to a cause. We can be frustrated, we can be angry, we can talk about the polarization, we can point fingers, we can go in separate directions, or we can help a child. We can find ourselves under the same roof with people who do not believe or think the same way that we do, but have the same goal of helping children move forward. And I think that's important.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And it is absolutely necessary. The same as you, sitting, watching the news, you hear all the negative coming through, and you go into the fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to
Right.
do? Are you going to be fearful, or are you going to stand your ground? Or are you going to do something about it? And when we think about everything that we're faced with and what our children are being forced to face, the reality sets in. And what you said, grab a child, educate them, teach them how to read, help them understand that their visions, their goals are just as important, because we have things that are coming down where they're saying they're lowering certain guidelines that they instilled before, and age where they're allowed to work to 10 in some states. I'm like, 10 years old? What? That's like putting them in an assembly line. What are you talking about? Like this, that's not going to happen if we can instill in our children. And then where they're taking notes, oh well, this child, that person is the laborer, this one is the doctor, and this is how they put labels on our children. And we have to be careful, because if we do our jobs, and we say jobs, if we do, if we play our role, let's put it as role, and do what we're supposed to do, our purpose, our responsibility, and instill in our children that they matter, and that they can be whoever and whatever they choose to be, then these labels cannot reduce them to less.
Absolutely. It's almost like Teflon. We put Teflon on their spirits. People think it's a small thing. People think picking up Dr. Seuss book and sharing it with a child. It's, they think it's simple, it's small, that it's not really making an impact. But we are planting trees under whose shade we will never sit. That's what we do.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what we'll do.
You're also saying that we are the change we're looking for.
Absolutely.
We're the change we're looking for. I remember
Yeah.
when I was younger, I used to pick up this book called The High Life, High Life, and I would read it, or Archie and Betty and Veronica comic books, for comic books, Mad Magazine, all of that. And now what I make my grandson do is we turn on, you like that movie? Let's turn on the closed captions and let's read. Turn the volume down and read it. Oh, he gets mad when we do that, but we do that. He gets really upset. I want to bring something else up that when I was in Detroit, I worked for a company called the Galef Institute that we did a program in different schools in the Detroit area, Metro Detroit area, called Different Ways of Knowing.
Okay.
And it was centered around Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences.
Yes.
And then I started working with VSA, which is a division of the Kennedy Center. Let's cross our fingers that it doesn't go away. Anyway, these different organizations would go into schools, and instead of trying to fix a kid, we would try to work with what the child had.
Exactly.
Come on now.
So we have these multiple intelligences, and we all have multiple intelligences.
Right.
You got spatial, you got kinesthetic, you got musical, mathematical, interpersonal, intrapersonal. Anybody can look up Howard Gardner and find different ways to teach children. And we often did things in relationship to reading. And so I want to know from you what happens when we stop trying to fix children and start nurturing what's already there. What happens when that happens?
Yeah, what I love about Howard Gardner's work is that it emphasizes the fact that everybody is gifted in some way. We're not all gifted in every way. Nobody's gifted in every way, but every child is gifted in some way. And so a part of our job as parents, as educators, as community members, is to be able to identify how that child is gifted and help them emphasize, cultivate, and grow that area of themselves. I would have to say to people time and time again, Freedom Readers is not a remedial program. We're not here to remediate anybody. We're actually here to build on strength. That's why we're here. Because every child needs to experience some type of win or some type of victory, something that they can celebrate every day. Because every child is gifted in some area. Just help me help you find that area.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
So children are not like robots. They didn't come to us to be fixed. They don't need to be fixed.
Come on now.
Our job is to be able to see them clearly and help them to be able to see themselves clearly.
And be patient and think out of the box. Be patient and think out of the box.
Yeah.
And we have to also reiterate and ensure that people hear this and understand and fully, let me rephrase that, completely overstand, not understand, overstand that children don't fail systems. Systems fail to recognize children.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the classes I teach at Davidson is called Sociology of Education, and we read a number of studies about schools, and we talk about how inequities in schools impact certain children and what we can do about them. And there have been studies on what they call sometimes a mismatch between the culture of the child and the culture of the teacher. And sometimes the teacher is seeing the child through the lens of their culture and not able to fully appreciate and understand what the child is bringing to the table. And that's how we end up with rates of suspension that are way too high for our brown babies.
Come on.
How we end up with suspensions in preschool and kindergarten and first grade. How we end up with expulsions that are way higher than any other group. How our young girls are being seen as older than they actually are. Even though you are 11 years old, sometimes through a cultural lens, your teachers are seeing you as an adult. And they are treating you as an adult and expecting you to behave as an adult. We also talk about the impact it makes on every child, especially our brown children, to have one brown teacher that looks like them.
You know what?
They perform better, they thrive, they don't get as many write-ups, they're not being disciplined in the same way. And so these are all of the realities that we have to come to terms with to make sure that our children have equitable access to what they need.
Yes.
Unfortunately, their potential doesn't always equal where they get to go, but we do have the opportunity to look at the reality and tweak it in ways that will be in their favor.
Very true. And you said a mouthful again. And let me go ahead and read Charles's comment before I move on. He said, I would love to get your brutally honest assessment of my book, Diary of an Innocent Man, set up by the Detroit police. Oh, well, we will give you the brutal honest opinion on it. We can share. So much going on in the world and in the school system in itself. And you, as I said a mouthful when we're talking on the lines of culture and diversity. So for me, it instantly took me back to corporate America, right? Where we talk about workplace culture and talk about diversity in the workplace. If that was something that is instilled in corporate America, why wasn't it important within the school system? Because that's where we nurture those that climb the ladder of success and learn to adapt in life based on who they interact with. Why wasn't that implemented earlier on in the schools?
Come on.
Well, it's a good question. I think we have to go back and ask ourselves, what was the purpose of school in the beginning? When schooling started in this country, what was the purpose of schooling?
Thank you.
When you go back to the origin of the first schools, you realize that none of us on this call would have been in a school at all. That the schools were an institution set up for the elite and set up for the very wealthy, so that they could make sure that their children and their children's children had access to the same wealth that they did. And so we have to really understand that we're going to have to dig up some roots if we want to see this change.
And till the
we're
soil.
going to have to say again.
And we have to till the soil.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to have to attract people to this profession who really care about children in the way that I described, those tutors whose hearts just opened up and they automatically responded to the needs of those kids.
Absolutely. And it takes us to the internal journey of things now, because you took us back and I took us there essentially when we talked about how it was originally structured and why it was structured that way. And, we have to face reality that we weren't positioned to win. So it's our responsibility to ensure that our children understand that they can win. They have just the same rights as anybody else. They have the same mental capacities, same mental capability as anybody else. You know, if you push them and listen and see what it is that they need and nurture those needs and ensure that they are walking in their light, not anybody else's light, but their light.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one thing I did have to understand while I was on that journey is that the fight has to be fought on two fronts. The first front is helping the young people understand who they are, but we cannot ignore the fact that there is a system in play. And so we do have to look at the Moms for Liberties groups who are going in and being seated on the school board. We've got to vote. We've got to follow our legislators. We've got to understand when they are making new laws and new tests that are we do have to look at the system, and we can't put all of the responsibility on the children and the families. We do have to fight on two fronts.
Yeah. So in your words, this is just not external work. This journey, you know, has a lot of layers to it. What has it taught you about belief, not just in children, but in yourself?
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Whew. Well, I have to say that this journey, it's completely changed me. And so there's a quote from Mark Twain. He says, you know, the most important day in your life is when you're born, and the second most important is when you understand why you were born. And I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And so I got to a point where I understood that my existence on this planet is about fighting for children.
Come on.
And so with every breath I have, I'll be fighting for children. And as long as there are more brown faces in our special education classrooms than our gifted classrooms, then I've got to continue to fight.
Absolutely.
And so being able to understand a purpose and put my arms around that purpose every day sharpens my understanding of the divine and how I've got to stay in tune to what is being spoken to my heart every single day. As I said earlier, there's so many distractions. There's so many, you can go left, you can go right, but you have to stay still and centered so you can hear what your call is. And that's what my journey has been about. Understanding my calling and taking one step at a time toward that destiny.
You know, it speaks volumes to know the impact that you have on young learners. And as a result, you have changed the trajectory for an upcoming adult learner. Adults that are in school environments struggle with the information. They may struggle. There are adults that have trouble reading, who struggle seriously with reading. And due to the embarrassment about that, they never rectify that. For a lifetime not reading and needing someone else to decipher the information for them. Was there ever a moment where you questioned the impact and something reminded you to keep on going? I want you to take the time and think about that.
Thank you, Linda. I've actually thought about this moment many, many, many times. I don't know if I write about it in the book, but it was almost, I can call it a miracle moment. Because in the beginning of this organization, I told you it was born around 2010. And we started in two public housing developments in Conway, South Carolina. And I was wearing every hat in the organization at that time. trying to call on my friends, trying to get the books, trying to work with the housing authority to get a room where I could meet with the young people. At the same time, I was working on my PhD at the University of South Carolina, and all of the classes were in person at that time. None of them were online. I was driving 2 hours and 45 minutes one way 3 times a week. My children were they were 7 and 9. So there was a lot going on in my life at the time. And I got to the point where I said, Lord, I cannot do this anymore. It is too much for me. I am tired. I'm exhausted, and I know it's not making a difference. I was about to pick up the phone to make the telephone call to say I will not be back at the housing authority. Just tell the families we're not coming back. When my telephone rang, and it was one of the parents of the children who participated in the program. And Nadia said to me on the phone, when are y'all coming back? My child's teacher said he's doing so much better in reading. I need to make sure y'all are coming because you are helping my child. When will y'all be back?
Divine order.
I was blown away. I could not believe that she was saying those words at the exact moment when I was about to make a call to shut it all down. Yeah. And when she asked that question, I said to her, we'll be back next week. That's all I could say.
Yeah.
That's all I could say.
We'll got your marching orders.
I was. Right. We were back the next week. Just moments like that where people show up as angels to say you're on the right path, you're making a difference.
Absolutely.
You know, like when you see parents come through the door and they say, the school is telling me that my child is going to be held back in 3rd grade because they're not passing this test. Help her with her reading. I don't know what else to do. In tears. So then you understand that this is what you need to do, and the work might come through me, but it's not necessarily about me. That's what
work
I have
is bigger than self. Yep.
Yes.
Work is definitely bigger than self.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Tracy. Gratitude. Man, I want this conversation to keep going. But, if someone watching tonight who feels unseen or unsure of their voice, what would you say to them?
I would just have to say that there is not one person on this planet who is walking around without a purpose, that we all have a deposit within us that comes from the divine. We all have a calling on our lives. We all have a difference that we are supposed to make. And it doesn't have to be something monumental. Nobody's calling you to be Martin Luther King or the Dalai Lama, but you are being called on to be kind and to look beyond yourself and see ways that you can improve the lives of people around you. Yes. You absolutely matter, and the world needs to hear your voice. So don't ever let it be silenced. Stand on what you know to be the truth and walk in your purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. You are saying it echoes to so many of our other interviews. We are enough. You are enough. All of the wonderful things that we said about being strong and who we are. I'm big on energy. I love to analyze the energy transference between people, and your energy is so genuine. It's so deeply genuine that if anyone were to ever question you, send them to me and Michelle, because we will take care of them. You don't have to worry. We've got that handled for you.
Thank you.
Please share with our viewers how we can support Freedom Readers and continue this work with you. Give us the full spiel. Take your time.
Okay. You can go to our website, freedomreaders.org, and there you can make a monetary donation if you like. We also have an online reading lab where you can train to be a tutor. You can meet a child online. So you can give of your treasure, but you can also give of your time. And we would just love everybody who can to send us positive energies and prayers as we continue to try to make a positive difference in the lives of the next generation.
So that means
Absolutely.
you work with children all over the country.
Absolutely, we do.
Doesn't matter where you are.
Does not.
Yes.
Mm. Have you
Yes.
have you thought globally?
Oh, so there is no limit to how much I dream and imagine and can think about what can happen next. Resources have to meet vision. And once that happens,
Absolutely.
then I know that the sky's the limit.
Oh no, it
Mm.
isn't. There's a universe.
Sky is not the limit. We're gonna go through that. Well, I
Yeah,
said
ain't no
that.
limit in the sky.
Yeah, I
Okay.
said that because there's so much that we're doing collectively, and as I said, I'm just grateful for alignment. Gratitude and abundance. Send it out. It's reciprocated, and I'm grateful
Mhm.
for it. And we would definitely want to stay in touch with you and see how we can help each other, because
Yeah.
this is something that I absolutely believe in. And I think,
Mhm.
no, I don't think, I know that we are of like mindset, because
Mhm.
there's so many things that we touched on that we were all like, yes, absolutely. And this for me is how, when we're having conversation and conversing so naturally in an authentic setting, this is how
Mhm.
it's supposed to feel, just wholesome and a
Mhm.
calling and purposeful.
Mhm.
And your presence on the platform tonight, Tracy, I just want to tell you, has put even a bigger flame under me
Yeah.
for where I see Infinite Perspectives is going, because of the amazing individuals such as yourself that grace this platform to share their incredible journeys and the work. And I'm going to say that and emphasize it again, the work that they
Mhm.
are
Mhm.
putting in to our children, because they are absolutely our future.
And your
Mhm.
and your tutors are all over the country too, right? They're not in just
Yes.
one.
I've seen that.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the training happens no matter where you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's so
Well,
awesome.
I want to thank you all for the work that you are doing and for the platform that you provide and the stories that you share, because they are inspiration and they are helping people like me to stay focused and stay positive and stay uplifted.
Yeah.
So I hope that you continue to be encouraged and that
Yeah.
you continue to take steps toward what this work was meant to be when it was started in the beginning. So thank you so much for allowing me just to be a part of your vision and what you're doing in this space.
Well, we agree with you by saying a child who learns to read
Learns they have a voice,
and a voice that is nurtured.
becomes a life that cannot be silenced.
Yeah.
Mm,
And
it's
perhaps
beautiful.
tonight's conversation is an invitation to look again.
Mm,
Yes. Yes.
And
And
when they look
what was
again,
always there? What was always there?
yes,
hmm
Waiting to be seen, right?
Right.
absolutely. And of course, I am Michelle Simon, filled with gratitude in abundance
I
for
tell
such an amazing evening with the incredible, phenomenal Tracy Bailey, and she's phenomenal in all her rights for all that she is doing. And stay encouraged, Tracy, as you go on
Yes.
this amazing journey.
Yeah, and you know,
Thank
I
you.
am definitely Linda Boston, but I recognize in you, Tracy Bailey, that you are strong in your universal love and
Mm,
universal law to our children.
mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much. This was
You're
such a
welcome.
pleasure. I
Yeah.
really
Oh,
enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah.
likewise. And from all of us, Linda, Tracy, and Michelle, we're inviting you to continue expanding your infinite perspectives, not
Not
by waiting to be
waiting
seen,
to be seen. Right.
yes, but by recognizing yourself first
Mm,
and believing that where there are infinite perspectives, you also have infinite possibilities. And this
Absolutely.
is where voices truly become vision. Good night, all.
Good night.
good
Thank
night.
Oh, wait. I believe a comment came in always
you.
before we leave out. Let me get it. Oh, Charles says, thank you for being you. Oh, gratitude, Charles. Thank you for being you. Continue on your journey. We support you as well. Good night,
Yes.
everyone. Thank you, guys.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
How you gonna change the things around you? Oh, what you gonna love inside of you? Oh, mhm. When you gonna hear his revelation?